Do you remember Fonzie, Richie, or Joni? Some of them are gone, and you might be surprised by who's next on the list. Kate Jackson as Sabrina Duncan. Kate Jackson was born on October 29, 1948, in Birmingham, Alabama. When she was 28 years old, she took on the role of Sabrina Duncan in Charlie's Angels in 1976, the intelligent and determined leader of the team during the show's first 3 seasons. It was she who suggested the name Charlie's Angels to the producers, helping shape what would become a television legend. Her performance proved her talent in the action genre. But Kate's life turned out to be a book filled with challenges. She married 3 times. Andrew Stevens from 1978 to 1982, David Greenwald from 1982 to 1984, and Tom Hart from 1991 to 1997-1993, but never had children. Just a few years later, breast cancer struck twice, in 1987 and 1989, putting her career on hold. In 2010, she sued her financial advisor after losing over $3 million. Another blow in an already turbulent life. By 2025, at age 77, she enjoys a peaceful life with her family, supported by her wealth and an unbreakable spirit. Farah Fawcett as Jill Monroe. Farah Fawcett was born on February 2, 1947, in Corpus Christi, Texas. When she was 29 years old, she joined the show as Jill Monroe, one of the original 3 Angels, captivating audiences with her dazzling beauty and sharp intelligence. Her flowing blonde hair and thrilling action scenes made her a 1970s icon, propelling her career to stardom from the very first episodes. But the spotlight told only half the story. Farah's life played out like a dramatic film. She married Lee Majors in 1973, but by 1982, fame drove them apart. She then entered a tumultuous relationship with Ryan O'Neal, a love story that was both romantic and heartbreaking. Farah found joy in painting and playing tennis, but dark days led her into substance abuse. In 2006, she was diagnosed with anal cancer and courageously documented her fight in a tearful documentary. She passed away at age 62 on June 25, 2009, at St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica, California, with Ryan O'Neal and close friend Alana Stewart by her side. Jaclyn Smith as Kelly Garrett. Jaclyn Smith was born on October 26, 1945, in Houston, Texas. When she was 31 years old, she portrayed Kelly Garrett in Charlie's Angels, a strong and graceful angel who later became the group's leader, showcasing keen intelligence in every episode. The role not only made a lasting impression on audiences, but also cemented her status as an essential part of the franchise. Behind the scenes, however, Jaclyn lived a life filled with notable turns. She went through 4 marriages: to Roger Davis from 1968 to 1975, Dennis Cole from 1978 to 1981, Tony Richmond from 1981 to 1989, with whom she had 2 children, Gaston and Spencer Margaret, and finally Brad Allen, whom she married in 1997. In 2003, she battled breast cancer, and her optimism helped her push through. By 2025, at age 80, she remains a timeless icon of strength and beauty. David Doyle as John Bosley. David Doyle was born on December 1, 1929, in Lincoln, Nebraska. When he was 47 years old, he took on the role of John Bosley, Charlie's witty and reliable assistant, appearing throughout all 5 seasons with his signature calm and charm. This role made him a familiar face, like an old friend on screen. But behind the smile, David carried quiet sorrow. He married Rachel in 1956, and they had a daughter named Leah. But in 1968, Rachel tragically died after falling down a flight of stairs. Just a year later, he found love again with Ann Nathan, and they remained together until the end of his life. His health declined due to heart disease, and he passed away at age 67 on February 26, 1997, in Los Angeles, California, after a heart attack, leaving behind a warm legacy and a beloved presence in the hearts of fans. Cheryl Ladd as Chris Monroe. Cheryl Ladd was born on July 12, 1951 in Huron, South Dakota. When she was 25 years old, she joined Charlie's Angels in 1976 as Chris Monroe, Jill's younger sister, bringing fresh energy to the second season with her radiant smile and youthful charm. Her role didn't just replace Farah Fawcett, it helped her shine as a true star. Cheryl's life, in contrast, is a warm and colorful picture. She married David Ladd from 1973 to 1980 and had a daughter named Jordan, then found lasting happiness with Brian Russell in 1981 and embraced his daughter Lindsay as her own. Family became her greatest source of inspiration, but Cheryl also had a passion for music, dreaming of being a singer before acting took over, and dedicated herself to charity work with child help. By 2025, at age 74, Cheryl remains a radiant angel, living joyfully with her loved ones. Tanya Roberts as Julie Rogers. Tanya Roberts was born on October 15, 1955 in the Bronx, New York. When she was 26 years old, she joined Charlie's Angels in 1980 as Julie Rogers, bringing a striking beauty and fierce energy to the show's final season. The role marked a major turning point, catapulting her to new fame. But Tanya's real life was far from the glamour on screen. It was a journey marked by tragedy. She was married to Barry Roberts from 1974 until his death in 2006, a strong love that never led to children. In 1982, she shocked fans by posing nude for Playboy, a decision that stirred controversy and impacted her career. Tanya had a deep love for nature and often went hiking, but a fall during a hike in 2020 led to a severe infection. She passed away at the age of 65 on January 4, 2021, in Los Angeles, California, after an earlier mistaken death report left fans stunned. Shelley Hack as Tiffany Wells. Shelley Hack was born on July 6, 1947 in Greenwich, Connecticut. When she was 32 years old, she stepped into Charlie's Angels in 1979 as Tiffany Wells, adding elegance and intellect to the show's fourth season. Though she stayed for only one season, the role marked a bold shift from the runway to the screen, where her refined beauty stood out amid high-octane action. But if you think Shelley was just another pretty face, look closer at her life. Married to director Harry Weiner since 1990, she's the mother of Devin Rose and built a peaceful home life. Before that, Shelley was a fashion icon, famously the face of Revlon Charlie perfume, a passion for style that never left her. Beyond Hollywood, she made an impact working in Bosnia in 1997, helping support democratic elections with a heart for service. As of 2025, Shelley is 78 years old, living a serene life far from the spotlight, yet still radiating timeless grace. Dennis Cole as Carl Hansworth. Dennis Cole was born on July 19, 1940, in Detroit, Michigan. When he was 37 years old, he took on the role of Carl Hansworth in Charlie's Angels in 1977. A minor part, but one that left a mark with his handsome charm and explosive action style. Though just a small piece of the series, he stood out as a golden boy of the 70s. But Dennis's real life played more like a dramatic black and white film. He endured 3 turbulent marriages, first to Sally Bergeron from 1960 to 1965, with whom he had a son, Joe, who was tragically murdered during a robbery in 1991, then to Charlie's Angels star Jaclyn Smith from 1978 to 1981, and later to Marjorie Fitzgibbon from 2004 to 2008, which ended in a domestic abuse scandal that led to his arrest. The weight of it all drove Dennis toward alcohol as a way to numb the pain. Eventually, his health deteriorated due to kidney failure, and he passed away at age 69 on November 15, 2009, at Holy Cross Hospital in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Dick Sargent as Avery. Dick Sargent was born on April 19, 1930, in Carmel, California. When he was 46 years old, he appeared as Avery in Charlie's Angels in 1976, a small role that he enlivened with natural charm, subtly enriching the Angels' storyline. Though the part was minor, it still added a note to the symphony of his career. But Dick's life played a quieter, more emotional tune, filled with truths gradually revealed. In 1991, he bravely came out as gay, a bold move at the time, and lived happily with Albert Williams from 1986 until his death. He never married or had children, instead pouring his heart into charity work and a passion for collecting antiques. Sadly, prostate cancer struck in 1989, and though he fought hard, he passed away at age 64 on July 8, 1994, in Los Angeles, California, after the disease had spread. Lynn Marta as Linda. Lynn Marta was born on October 30, 1945, in Somerville, New Jersey. When she was 31 years old, she played Linda in Charlie's Angels in 1976, a brief supporting role that brought a gentle charm to the Angels' glamorous world. Though her appearance was fleeting, she made a lasting impression with her subtle, captivating performance. Off-screen, Lynn's life was a winding road of fate. She was married to Brick Houston from 1968 to 1976, then entered an open relationship with David Soul in the 1980s. Her world was shaken in 1989 when she witnessed the murder of her close friend, Rebecca Schaefer, a traumatic moment that left her deeply scarred. Lynn had a love for singing and once dreamed of a musical stage career, but fate had other plans. Cancer ultimately took her life at the age of 78 on January 11, 2024, in Los Angeles, California. Cesare Danova as Franco Cella. When he was 50 years old, Cesare Danova joined Charlie's Angels in 1976 as Franco Cella, a suave supporting character whose European charm added an extra layer of intrigue to the show. The role was like a glass of fine Italian wine amid American television, showcasing his unique flair. But Cesare's life was both vibrant and unfinished. He was married twice. First to Pamela Matthews from 1955 to 1963, with whom he had 2 sons, and later to Patricia Chandler, who remained by his side until the end. Cesare loved tennis and fine wine, though whispers of extramarital affairs once clouded his dashing image, stalling his momentum after his golden years. One fateful day, his heart gave out during a meeting in Los Angeles, and he passed away at 66 on March 19, 1992. Soon-Tek Oh as Lee Torres. When he was 44 years old, Soon-Tek Oh stepped into Charlie's Angels in 1976 as Lee Torres, a subtle yet meaningful role that brought multicultural nuance to the screen and reflected his ongoing effort to elevate Asian representation in American media. Though brief, the part was a proud moment in his career. Soon-Tek's life was a deeply inspiring artistic journey. Married to Patricia, he chose to live quietly, devoting himself to theater and teaching, even founding a Korean-American theater group to nurture young talent. Steering clear of drama, he lived with humility, though his later years were shadowed by Alzheimer's. He died at the age of 85 on April 4, 2018, in Los Angeles, California. Norman Alden as Jake Barnett. When he was 52 years old, Norman Alden appeared in Charlie's Angels in 1976 as Jake Barnett, a solid supporting role that helped ground the action and let the Angels shine. He wasn't the star, but his presence lent stability to every scene. Norman's life was one of simple warmth. Married to Sharon Hayden from 1966 until the end, he had 2 children and worked tirelessly his whole life, from voicing Aquaman to acting in commercials. A natural storyteller, Norman was genuine and drama-free, like a neighbor everyone loves. He passed away at 87 on July 27, 2012 in Los Angeles, California, of natural causes. Denny Miller as Ed Fellows. When he was 42 years old, Denny Miller took on the role of Ed Fellows in Charlie's Angels in 1976, a memorable supporting character whose towering frame and rugged strength brought fresh energy to the show. It was a striking detail in his colorful career, but Denny's life read like a storybook from peak to plummet. He was married to Kit Smythe from 1960 to 1980, then to Nancy Miller, and cherished basketball, the sport that had taken him to UCLA, as well as writing, publishing 2 books about his life. Things seemed calm until ALS arrived in 2014, stealing his strength. Denny passed away at 80 on September 9, 2014 in Las Vegas, Nevada. L.Q. Jones as Burdette. When he was 49 years old, L.Q. Jones joined Charlie's Angels in 1976 as Burdette, a Western-flavored character straight out of the cowboy films that had once defined his stardom. The role was small, but full of personality, fitting seamlessly into his larger body of work. L.Q.'s life was a simple country tune. Married to Netta Lewis from 1950 to 1979, he had 3 children, loved horses, and lived with the quiet values of a true man of the land. No scandals, no spotlight chasing. He was a devout Methodist who stayed true to his roots. At the age of 94, he passed away on July 9, 2022, in Hollywood Hills, Los Angeles, California, of natural causes. Carol Cook as Hildy Slater. When she was 38 years old, Carol Cook stepped into The Lucy Show in 1962 as Hildy Slater, a supporting role that left a lasting impression thanks to her natural comedic talent and effortless chemistry with her close friend Lucille Ball. But Carol's life was more than just laughter. It was a story of perseverance and love. She married actor Tom Troop on March 7, 1964, and their strong, enduring marriage lasted until the end of her life. In her later years, her health declined due to heart disease, and Carol passed away at the age of 98 on January 11, 2023 in Beverly Hills, California, just 3 days before her 99th birthday. Nancy Fox as Eva. When she was 18 years old, Nancy Fox entered the television world as Ava in Temperatures Rising in 1972, a role that brought a fresh burst of humor and charm. Her natural appeal caught the audience's attention, but Nancy's light. She married John Baird on February 14th, a strong partnership that has lasted. By 2025, Nancy old and still remembered fondly for the early dance steps that led her all the way. Their stories were filled with heartbreak and unforgettable, just like the show that made stars. Though the original ain't no longer with us, their legacy brightly. Which Angel's story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more classic TV legends.